Okay, let's talk about driving. What better place, what better time to talk about driving? Now, before I talk about driving, conscious of the fact that I am driving, so I've chosen to record this in a pretty safe place, a road I'm super familiar with. It's a single lane road. Yeah, it's just safe, it's just super safe. Otherwise I wouldn't do it. Okay. The reason why I'm talking about driving, and you know the premise of my videos about making life easier, more simple, or improving your performance. The reason why I'm talking about driving is this. Too often what we do is we try and impose our thoughts on how people should conduct themselves driving on others. We either do that directly through laying on the horn, sticking some fingers out the window, gestures, all of that stuff, all the way through to just analysing the way people drive in our mind. And when I say analysing, we're making an assessment. We're saying that person's a good driver because, well actually we're not doing that part. All we're doing is we're looking at, or looking for, elements of poor driving. And we have this narration in our mind where we feel like we're talking to the driver and we're coming up with a story with what we want to share with them, and that could be laden with expletives. But here's the thing, here's where I'm going with all of this. Nothing you do inside your vehicle or inside your mind changes someone's driving ability. I'm going to say nothing. It might be, there might be some changes to someone else's driving style, but really it's insignificant, especially concerned, or compared, excuse me, to the amount of effort you spend analysing, assessing other people's driving styles and reacting to it, whether it is that internal dialogue or it's gesturing to other people. Nothing good comes out of that. There's no, I'm going to say no tangible change to someone's driving style. You cannot instruct them from your vehicle where they're going to think, oh actually that's a good point. The way you swore and gestured to me then has made me reconsider the way I drive, at least to do with that element that made you do that, and now I'll change my driving style. Won't happen. So why are we wasting our effort on it? So what I'm doing now, and the reason why I'm sharing this video, is to reinforce in my mind, I will just deal with other people. If someone's a hazard, of course, you just back off. You give them room, you let them pass, whatever it takes to not become part of an equation or an accident or an incident or something that happens later on. So you're reducing the equation or the balance of probability that you're going to get involved through defensive driving. So not just the defensive driving, what I'm talking about is just letting go of everything that goes on in your mind where you critique and assess other drivers. Just let it go. Not for them, because you can't train them anyway, but for you. You don't need it. I don't need it. So just drive. Of course, be aware of other drivers and their styles. How much of a hazard they are, how much of a risk they pose. But deal with that in the moment as you drive, rather than go down the path of the whole assessment framework you have in your mind, and that might branch into other things like, why do we drive so bad, and it's all a waste of time. It's all a waste of time. It just becomes internal anguish. So make the conscious decision. What I'm advocating is you make the conscious decision to just let it go. Deal with other drivers, but let it go. Just let it go. You can't change it. Not, at least not in the car while you're driving. You might be able to push some legislative changes later on, perfect. But while you're driving, you've got one job, and your job is to keep you and others inside and outside of your car safe, not to correct other people's driving habits. Don't even assess other people's driving habits, because that is taking your mind, using some capacity in your mind that you should be using for something more fruitful. Either concentrating on the journey that you're on at the moment, or thinking about something else, something way better that is going to serve you. Protect you, protect the passengers in your vehicle, protect those outside of your vehicle. If you come up behind a cyclist, be patient, don't overtake around blind corners. Cyclists are not emitting a lot of carbon. Come up behind a horse, same thing, real slow, go wide. Here's another tip. If you recognize someone, a cyclist or runner, don't toot from behind when they can't see you. That's crazy. People do that fairly often to me. It gives me a heck of a fright. Don't toot. If you recognize someone, drive on past them like you were going to anyway, and just give a wave out the window, and they'll see the wave, they'll see your car, and they'll be like, that's Gene. Gene's waving at me, and I'll wave back at Gene, or Manu, or Phil, or whoever it is. But yeah, don't toot behind someone when you recognise them and they haven't seen you. Oh, come on. Okay, that's it, driving.